After 3 awkward dates, she felt hopeless. Then his daughter exposed a life-changing secret. Sarah wiped down the last table at the Maplewood Diner, the smell of greasy burgers and fresh coffee hanging in the air like a familiar blanket. She felt worn out, the weight of her life pressing down harder with each passing day. Managing the diner took every ounce of her energy, and caring for her ailing mother on top of it was like sprinting up a hill with no end in sight. After 3 awkward dates with Jake, a single father with a constant smile that somehow felt out of place, her heart ached more than ever. Each date had been a disaster, stiff silences, forced laughter, and the unmistakable sense that they were both pretending to find joy in a flicker of hope that was never truly there. Jake's bright spirit was marred by the shadows of his past, his wife's death looming over him like thick fog. Sarah allowed a bitter laugh to slip through as she recalled his comments about how much he loved parenting alone. Did he even see the struggle in her eyes? As the diner buzzed with chatter, she felt like a ghost among the living. Every clattering of plates sang a haunting melody of her own frustrations. She longed for something more, a flicker of connection, but Jake seemed trapped in his grief as much as she was trapped in her toil. Then everything changed that afternoon, when a determined young girl entered her life. Jake's daughter, Emma, ventured into the attic, rummaging through dusty boxes. She discovered hidden letters from her father's military service, penned in ink brushed with valor and sacrifice. As Emma read them aloud, Sarah found herself inching closer, an invisible thread pulling her toward the little girl's innocent voice. Those stories painted a kaleidoscope of colors over the grim image she held of Jake. Sarah's heart softened as she heard tales of courage buried in the past. Jake wasn't just a man burdened by grief, he was a soldier, a hero who had fought for his country. Those words, echoing through the diner's walls, opened her eyes to the depth of his struggle. It ignited a fire within her, transforming hopelessness into inspiration. Fueled by Emma's spirit, Sarah took a leap. She began organizing a fundraiser at the diner, rallying the tight-knit community to honor veterans, with local musicians ready to lend their talents. As the event drew nearer, she could feel hope creeping back into her heart. Maybe this was the start of something beautiful, a chance for love to blossom amidst their struggles. But just when it seemed the tides were turning, murmurs began to circulate in the diner. Whispers from a few residents hung in the air like the heavy scent of burnt coffee, suspicion trailing after Emma and Jake. How could they accept a man with such a painful past? Sarah's heart raced as she realized they would have to confront a prejudice that divided the very community she had grown to love. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With the event looming, Sarah found herself caught between fear and longing. Every time she caught Jake's eye from across the bustling diner, a flicker ignited, but guilt tugged at her heart. They were two ships, lost at sea. Could they finally find a way to navigate toward each other? As tensions rose and confrontations simmered, Sarah and Jake saw the fragility of their connection. Could love survive in the face of judgment? Would they be able to redefine family together, or would the world around them shatter their fragile hope? As doubts lingered, the fate of their hearts hung delicately in the balance, just out of reach. The night of the fundraiser arrived, and the Maplewood Diner pulsed with a fresh energy. Strings of twinkling lights wrapped around the small stage, illuminating the faces of the patrons who had come to support the event. Sarah stood behind the counter, heart racing with both excitement and anxiety. Familiar faces filled the booths, but she couldn't shake the feeling that judgment lingered in the air, heavier than the aroma of fried food. Jake was late. Her heart sank a little as the clock ticked past 7. She had hoped he would bring Emma with him, but she was prepared for anything. She had seen people murmur, whispering doubts about Jake's past. Many were unaware of the depth of his story, but tonight, Sarah intended to change that narrative. When Jake finally walked through the door, Emma skipped ahead of him, her blonde ponytail bouncing as she rushed to Sarah. "Look!" she exclaimed, holding up a colorful poster they had made together, featuring a drawing of a soldier and his little girl. "I think this will help us raise lots of money." Sarah's heart melted, a warmth blossoming inside her as she knelt to Emma's level. "It's perfect. You're so talented." Just then, her gaze shifted to Jake, who lingered by the entrance, uncertainty etched on his face. He was wearing a simple button-up shirt, but even a small bore of hope flickered within him. "Hey," he said, approaching cautiously. "Sorry we're late. Emma wanted to stop by the park first." "Totally fine. I'm just glad you're here." But as they locked eyes, the unease in the atmosphere prickled at her. She could sense the stares from the back of the diner, could feel the unanswered questions hanging heavy. The small stage would soon host local musicians who had come together to honor veterans, and Sarah stepped up to the microphone, ready to share. "Thank you all for being here tonight," she began, her voice trembling slightly. "Each of us has a different story. Sometimes those stories are filled with sorrow and loss, like Jake's. It's easy to judge someone based on what we see, but we have to remember everyone deserves a chance." In that moment, she spotted a few patrons whispering. Their lips curled in disapproval, and her stomach dropped. But she pressed on, her words unyielding. "Being a parent is the hardest job in the world. Every day is a struggle. Jake is not just a single dad, he is a hero. He has fought for our country, and just like every veteran, he is worth our respect." She felt Jake shift beside her. When she finished, applause erupted, some genuine while others seemed forced. Jake stepped up, his gaze steady. "I want to thank Sarah for sharing my story. I wear my scars for everyone to see, and the truth is it's taken a lot to get to this point. I don't want pity, just understanding." His voice broke a little, and Sarah's heart ached for him. She could see the weariness in his eyes, the battle between past pain and newfound hope. For the first time, he looked less like a soldier and more like a parent, shaky but daring to fight for a future. But as applause turned to murmurs, her heart dropped again. An older man at the back stood up, shaking his head. "Why should we accept someone like him? He is just a reminder of loss. We should be honoring those who survived, not those who put us in danger." A hush fell over the diner, and Sarah's heart raced. Fear coursed through her veins, battling against the desire to speak. Would she let this moment shatter what they had begun to build together? Could she stand up for Jake, for Emma, and for the love she was beginning to feel? As the tension escalated, Sarah glanced at Jake. He clenched his jaw, a flicker of determination in his eyes, as if he was ready to fight not just for his identity but for the acceptance they both yearned for. Could they stand against the tide of fear and prejudice? And would tonight lay the groundwork for the family they desperately sought? The answer hung in the air, electric with uncertainty, as judgment loomed just beyond their grasp. The room was silent, tensions thick as molasses. The murmurs escalated into sharp whispers, the older man's words resounding like gunfire in the soft atmosphere of the diner. Sarah's mind raced, desperately searching for the right thing to say. She glanced at Jake, gauging the weight of the moment on his shoulders. He looked determined but pained, as if he was fighting battles that were far more than just words. "Every soldier has a story," she finally managed to say, her voice breaking through the silence. "And every soldier deserves a chance to share. Don't we owe it to them to listen?" A ripple of surprise ran through the crowd at her boldness. Some patrons exchanged worried glances, while others appeared ready to stand up beside her. The older man shook his head but did not respond, a stubborn look on his face. Then, Emma, who had been standing quietly by her father, stepped forward. With her blue eyes wide and her little hands clutching the edges of her poster, she looked at the audience with an innocence that could melt the hardest of hearts. "My dad saved people. He helped them. Just like everyone else who wears a uniform. He loves me and tries really hard. Her voice rang out, pure and unapologetic. Tears pricked at Sarah's eyes. Emma's small words were filled with such truth and love that they resonated with a deep and universal emotion. It was a reminder that no story was just a single narrative of loss and danger. There were layers of hope and resilience, too. Do you want to see the drawing we made? Emma continued, holding up the poster so everyone could see. This is my daddy and me. We love going to the park and flying kites. He is not scary. He is my hero. The diner held its breath. Faces softened, some patrons visibly shifted in their seats, their judgment momentarily shattered by the child's beaming smile. Jake's jaw relaxed as he watched his daughter. The tightness that had been etched on his face began to melt away. In that moment, he looked more like the loving father than the haunted soldier. A murmur of appreciation spread through the room, replacing the earlier harsh judgments. Suddenly, a woman from a nearby booth stood up. You're right, kiddo. We all have our battles, don't we? Her voice was warm, laced with compassion. She continued, my husband served overseas, and he came back changed, too. He has scars we cannot see. We need to do better. For all of them. With that, more voices joined in. Some shared their experiences, others simply nodded, feeling the heaviness lift slightly with every word of support. Sarah felt her heart pounding. It was working. The tide was turning. What began as a shocking confrontation was morphing into a moment of unity and understanding. Still, apprehension clouded her thoughts with a sharp edge. Would they maintain this kindness once the moment passed? Let us honor our veterans, isn't that why we're here? Jake's voice was steady, growing stronger with every syllable. It's not about where we've been, it's about where we can go together. A small cheer erupted from one corner of the diner, prompting others to clap along. Hope filled the room, even if the road ahead was still murky. As the applause washed over them, Jake leaned slightly closer to Sarah, whispering, "Thank you, for this." There was a warmth in his gaze that felt electric. She could sense that this single moment might just shift the tide for them both. But just as her heart fluttered with the possibility of change, the older man at the back cleared his throat again, determination carved into his features. But what about the families who lost someone because of him? He challenged. Are we just supposed to forget about them? The atmosphere shifted again, and Sarah's stomach dropped. Would she be able to speak up once more? And how would Jake hold up against the scrutiny? As the murmurs erupted again, Sarah's resolve heightened. She couldn't let fear and anger overshadow the love that was beginning to bloom. She felt something shift within her, a quiet strength building as the stakes rose. Would they face down the critics and build their future, or would the shadows of the past steal their chance? The weight of the question lingered, unyielding, as anticipation crackled in the air. Sarah took a deep breath, feeling as if the air in the diner had turned to lead. The older man's words hung like a storm cloud over them, casting a shadow on the fragile hope that had begun to emerge. She looked at Jake, whose features had hardened once more, a flicker of pain returning to his eyes. Listen, she said, her voice steady and firm, we all carry scars. Some of us wear them on our skin, while others bear the invisible wounds inside our hearts. But turning our backs on one another will only leave us all more broken. The silence that followed felt heavy, pregnant with the weight of unspoken truths. People glanced at one another, the spark of understanding igniting once more, but the older man seemed unmoved, crossing his arms defiantly. Scars are not a badge of honor for some, he countered sharply. They're reminders of losses. You think just because we clap for you, he pointed a finger toward Emma, who stood steadfastly beside her father, you can erase the pain. A moment of stillness enveloped the diner, the collective breath caught in people's throats. Sarah could see the change in Jake's stance. He straightened his back, eyes narrowing slightly, as he prepared to respond. This time it was different. They weren't just defending themselves, they were standing for all of those who had ever felt ostracized or misunderstood. She sensed a powerful force building between them. Every story has pain, Jake said slowly, voice low but resonant. Mine doesn't overshadow what I've done or who I love, just as it doesn't diminish the sacrifices of others. We need to support each other. That's what makes us whole. A woman near the back nodded, her voice breaking through the tension. I lost my husband. Twice, actually. He served, and he came back a different man. I thought I'd gotten him back, but he never truly returned home. We live with that every day. But we're still here, still fighting. Tears glistened in her eyes, and the vulnerability in her sharing made an impact on the room. Sarah felt her heart race. It was like they were finally breaking down the barriers they had built, tearing through the divide with each shared truth. The diner was slowly transforming into a safe space. As voices arose in solidarity, some more hushed, some stronger. Sarah sensed something greater at play. Hope rippled through the crowd. She locked eyes with Emma, who stood proudly holding her poster, a testament to love and resilience. Just then, an elderly man rose from a corner booth, his hands shaking slightly. I lost friends in battle, his voice cracked, but he pressed on. And it took me years to heal. But I've seen too many folks turn against one another when they should be coming together. We need to support the living veterans and families alike. Applause broke out, louder this time, filling the diner with a warm current of understanding. The older man who had opposed them shifted uncomfortably, visibly softening. Jake sidled closer to Sarah, their shoulders brushing together. You're doing it. Look at the change. His eyes sparkled with a mixture of hope and disbelief. But just as the tumult of voices began to settle into a lull, Emma stepped up again, her small stature commanding attention. Can I say one more thing? She asked, her voice clear and unwavering. My dad always says that stories shouldn't just be told, they should be listened to. If you listen, you'll know that we can help each other. Love is stronger than anger. The diner sat in rapt silence, each person absorbing the weight of her declaration. Suddenly, the door burst open, and a man with a familiar posture entered, his military jacket creased and worn. The atmosphere shifted, whispers slithered through the crowd. Sarah's heart raced again. Who was this man, and why did he look so familiar? As he stepped forward, the room collectively held its breath. Was he there to support them, or to challenge everything they had just built? What secrets were held behind that stoic face, and would he add another layer to their already complicated web of stories? The man paused, framed by the entrance, like a ghost returning from a past none of them could ignore. Sarah felt her stomach twist. She'd seen him before, standing against the backdrop of uncertainty, a shadow in her memories. It clicked. He was a veteran, one of the few who had shared stories with their community during the tough times. Dad? Emma whispered, her eyes widening in recognition. Tentatively, the man made his way toward them, his face taut but his eyes revealing the battle within. Silence descended once more, an electric tension rippling through the diner. People shifted in their seats, some instinctively leaning forward, caught between curiosity and caution. What brings you here? Emma's voice broke the stillness, strained but hopeful. He stopped abruptly near their table, hands buried deep in his pockets, his gaze darting around the room as if searching for something he may have lost. I heard about what has been happening, he said, his words a mix of reluctance and necessity. Emma, I didn't want you to feel. Don't, she interrupted, lifting her chin defiantly. You missed the whole thing. I thought you would want to support me, us. He flinched as if her words cut deeper than she intended. A murmur rippled through those present, the undercurrent of a story unfolding. I didn't mean to fail you, he muttered, anguish etching lines deeper into his weathered face. Not today. Sarah looked at Jake, they were both witnessing a confrontation years in the making. Memories told in silence, words left unspoken but hovering in the air, aching for release. I've always told Emma that love is stronger than anger, the man finally continued, his voice heavy. But it's hard to see that when you feel bruised. It's easier to just hide. Jake stepped forward, his voice raw but sincere. We all have scars. It's okay. It's what we do with them that matters. He nodded compassionately, and Sarah felt a sense of unity revive the atmosphere, the very spirit they had invoked moments ago rekindling. The man looked at Jake, then at Emma, his expression softening. So many times I felt lost, he admitted, his fingers shaking slightly. I got out of that war, but it didn't feel like I returned. I didn't realize I left some of myself behind. Widowed faces turned brighter with understanding, some wiped tears hidden by their hands. A woman a few tables over shared a fragile glance with him, one born from a connection only those who had walked through darkness could comprehend. You don't have to go through this alone, Sarah said gently, feeling it was her turn to reach for the strings of connection. We're all here. Let us help you, even if it's just to share the weight. The diner fell quiet again, saturated with emotion like a gathering storm. But Emma, with a glint of resolve, spoke up again. The stories don't just belong to us, she urged, looking at her father. They belong to everyone. We can't hide anymore. His brow creased, and something cracked in his expression, as if a door long shut was creaking open. He nodded slowly, looking to his daughter, and then to the gathering crowds. The man in the jacket inhaled deeply, as if lifting a burden. Then let us share them, he said finally. His voice, once dulled by despair, now gleamed with a flicker of hope. But just as Sarah felt a ray of light creeping into the situation, a loud crash echoed from the kitchen. A tray had fallen. Gasps erupted, and a waitress stumbled out, her face pale. She appeared unwell. What is going on? Someone shouted. As the commotion grew, Sarah glanced back at the man, whose eyes now mirrored a renewed determination. What did this mean for Emma, for them all? They had just begun to bridge the chasms in their lives, but there was a new storm brewing on the horizon. Would it bring devastation, or might it unveil even greater truths? Her heart raced again, time suspending as everyone focused on the fear behind that kitchen door. Would they be able to rise to the challenge together once more? The tension was palpable in the diner, a quiet hush wrapping around them like a fragile cocoon. The waitress, pale and trembling, swayed on her feet as she leaned against the counter. Sarah could see the worry etched across her face. It was the kind of worry that clung to people when they were faced with something overwhelming. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Someone should check on her, someone whispered, but no one moved. Their eyes were drawn to the kitchen, an unwilling audience to what felt like a prelude to something deeper, unfolding right in front of them. What is wrong? Emma's voice trembled as she pushed herself to stand. The hope that had flickered in her gaze was now replaced with a hint of fear. Sarah felt her own heart pounding as she watched the scene play out before them. Just then, the man stepped forward, instinctively taking on the role of protector as he moved toward the waitress. Hey, you alright? His voice was gentle yet firm, a bridge reaching out in a moment of confusion. Her eyes widened as she blinked away tears. I feel so dizzy. I think I might. She swayed dangerously, and in an instant, he was beside her, strong arms poised to catch her if she fell. Let us sit you down for a sec, he said, guiding her carefully to a nearby booth. It was a small gesture, but in that moment, the act of kindness felt like a glimmer of light amid the surrounding unease. The diner's patrons, all kindred spirits in shared solitude, leaned forward, trying to peer through the veil of worry for answers. While their attention remained fixed on the booth, Emma turned to her father. Maybe this is a sign, she said, her voice shaking but determined. If we can help her, it might bring us closer. He nodded slowly, his brow furrowing in thought. You're right. We don't just have to share our stories, we can actually reach out and help others, he responded, something shifting in his expression as he glanced back at the troubled waitress. Please, just a minute, Sarah whispered. We can take mugs of water and check on her. She felt their connection strengthening, bonds shifting from silence to action. This was no longer about personal wounds, it was about reaching out, about community. It felt bigger than any of them, this moment of vulnerability. As they gathered cups of water and moved towards the booth, a sudden hush filled the diner. A couple of the regulars stood up and started to help. Someone wheeled over a chair, another pulled together napkins. "Thank you," the waitress managed to whisper as she steadied herself. "I didn't expect none of us expected to be here, but we're all in this together," the man replied, his voice soft. "We're not just here for ourselves." Sarah felt that flicker of hope reigniting. They weren't just sharing stories, they were sharing strength. As the warmth spread through the room, something shifted within the man. His eyes, once clouded with uncertainty, now held clarity. "Are you all ready to listen to your stories?" he asked, addressing the diner. "Let us find out what we can create together." Just as they began considering how to rally around one another, a figure burst through the door, a young girl with wide, earnest eyes. "Dad! I was looking for you. I found something, and you have to see it." All gazes turned toward her, curiosity outweighing anxiety. The potential for revelation hung in the air like a promise. "What did you find?" Emma asked, her heart racing at the glances exchanged. What could this unexpected arrival mean for all of them? The man stood, a mix of apprehension and excitement flickering across his face as his daughter clutched a crumpled piece of paper in her hand. The diner held its breath, the weight of unspoken truths teetering on the edge of revelation. Would this be the beginning of their healing or the start of a new storm? The room felt electric, every heartbeat echoing in the silence. The young girl, still clutching the crumpled paper, looked around the diner as though she were holding the key to something important. There was an urgency about her, a youthful brightness in her eyes that contrasted completely with the heaviness of the moment. "Dad, look at this!" she exclaimed, her voice piercing through the stillness. "I found it in my backpack. I think it's important." With a flick of her wrist, she unfolded the paper, revealing what appeared to be a map. Lines crisscrossed over it, dotted with ink marks and hastily scrawled notes. The man knelt beside her, his brow furrowed in disbelief. "Where did you get this?" he asked, his voice low, as if he were afraid the very act of questioning could shatter the fragile air. "I don't know. I just found it," she replied, her excitement bubbling over, oblivious to the tension. "But look, it has all these places marked. Maybe we can go there." Emma leaned in closer, her curiosity piqued. "Can I see it?" she asked, her hands trembling slightly. When the girl passed the paper to her, Emma felt an inexplicable thrill. "These places, they're all old parks, community centers, and a couple of abandoned spots around town. What does it mean?" Sarah stepped closer too, her mind racing with possibilities. "It could be a treasure map," she said, half joking, but the truth was, it felt like a spark. In the midst of their collective unease, this detail could be a turning point, an opportunity for connection beyond stories of pain. The waitress, seemingly forgotten in the excitement, was now staring at the paper with intrigue, her expression shifting from despair to curiosity. "There is something about that map. It looks familiar," she murmured, leaning over to get a better look. "Wait," the man said slowly, his eyes widening as he processed the information. "My grandma used to take me to these places when I was a kid. She used to say they held the memories of our family. Could this be where we started?" A wave of emotion swept through the diner. Hope began to bloom where worry had previously taken root. The thought of recovering the lost connections, both personal and communal, spread like wildfire. Emma's face lit up. What if we all went? What if we made a day of it, just like a family outing? The idea had sprouted, the possibility of taking action began to soften the air. The man nodded, glancing around the room. "We could create something new together. We can share stories, and maybe even find things that will help heal us. These places, they might not be abandoned to us, they could be filled with memories waiting to be rediscovered." The waitress looked up, her eyes brimming with a renewed light. I would love to join. It feels like I've been lost for so long. And just like that, while they waited for the waitress to share her own story, the diner shifted. It was no longer simply a place of concern but of hope and unity. But right as the mood solidified, the broken sound of shattering glass broke through. The door swung open wide, and in rushed a man, breathless and frantic, his eyes scanning the room until they landed on the young girl. Lily. We need to talk now. The abruptness of his arrival sent chills through the group as they looked on, confusion flooding the room once again. What would this new intrusion mean for their moment of connection? Would this be a diversion or a catalyst for their unexpected journey? Lily's eyes widened at the sight of the man. Confusion turned to a flicker of recognition as she glanced between him and the others. Dad? She whispered, uncertainty knotted in her stomach. The man who had burst into the diner was rugged and worn, his shirt stained from a long day's work. He approached Lily with urgency, his brow pinched tight in worry. This isn't the time for games, he said, almost pleadingly, glancing at the gathering in the diner. We have to go. It's not safe. What do you mean? Lily replied, standing her ground. She tightened her grip on the crumpled map in her hand, suddenly feeling the weight of what it represented. I just found this map. It could mean something big for us. The man's expression shifted, worry replaced by a flash of desperation. A map? Where did you get that? Did someone give it to you? His voice rose slightly, and a few diners cast curious glances. It's not a game. Lily, please, life is complicated. We have to leave now. He glanced toward the door, and his shoulders tensed as if expecting something ominous beyond the threshold. The man kneeling beside Lily spoke up. Wait. This is important to her. If it's a treasure map, maybe it leads to something meaningful, something her mother would have wanted. The air grew thick with hesitation, uncertainty wrapping around them like a blanket. Sarah and Emma exchanged concerned looks, unsure of how to intervene. The waitress moved closer, drawn by Lily's bravado. Whatever this is, you can be honest with us. We're all in this together. She reached out, a gesture of comfort infused with warmth as she tried to bridge the growing divide. Together? The man scoffed, disbelief coloring his tone. You don't know what you're getting into. This isn't a storybook adventure, it's life. The room fell into tense silence. Lily took a deep breath, her dad's words clawed at her vulnerability. She turned to him, her voice steady. I need to know what this place on the map means. His resolve cracked for a brief moment, sorrow flashing across his eyes. Lily, this is about your safety. Those places, there's a reason your mother stopped taking you there. I can't let you go. But I want to understand, she insisted, her voice trembling. Maybe we can find something. We can be closer. I want to know her. The waitress stepped forward, sensing the emotional pull of the moment. I understand the need to feel connected to someone we've lost. Maybe we can find comfort in this map. But we need to be safe too. Lily looked around at the faces, some sympathetic, others filled with curiosity. A strange unity rose in the diner as the group, though uncertain, leaned toward support. Maybe we can go together, then, Sarah said softly. If you're worried, we'll make sure we're safe. This could help all of us. As Lily's gaze drifted back to her father, a flicker of hope ignited. Maybe they could share something after all. Okay, he finally relented, the fight in him wavering. But just know that if things get dangerous, we're leaving. No questions asked. Lily nodded, heart pounding with a mix of excitement and fear. The possibility of uncovering layers of the past felt tantalizing yet nerve-wracking. As they prepared to embark on this unexpected journey together, the man who had interrupted them leaned closer to Lily, his voice dropping to a whisper. Are you sure you want to know what really happened? There's more to this than just a map. With those words hanging heavily in the air, the weight of the journey began to settle around them like a thick fog, leaving unanswered questions swirling in their minds as they stepped into an uncertain adventure. What secrets were waiting to be discovered, and would the truth bring them closer or tear them apart? Lily felt the weight of her father's gaze as they all stood in the cramped diner, surrounded by patrons who were just as curious as she was. More than just a map, she echoed, her heart drumming in her chest. The possibilities pricked at her skin like the hint of 1,000 mysteries waiting to be unraveled. Yeah. Much more, he replied, his tone heavy with the weight of unspoken truths. But it's not for you to know lightly. It carries a burden. The waitress, her kind eyes softening, nodded. Whatever it is, this is where it all starts. Let us honor the purpose of that map. She gestured toward it, the corner of the faded paper barely visible in Lily's trembling hands. As they made their way out of the diner, the sun bathed everything in a golden light. But the warmth didn't quite reach Lily's insides. There was uncertainty, a mixture of fear and hope coiling tightly in the pit of her stomach. Her father fell into step beside her, his shadow looming longer than usual. "Are you ready for this?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper, as if afraid the wind might carry their words away. "I think so." She forced a smile, even though doubt clawed at her heart. "I need to know about Mom. I need to understand why he turned away," his expression betraying him. "Sometimes understanding leads to pain. You have to promise me that if it gets too dark, you'll let us turn back." Lily nodded, but deep down, she knew there was no turning back now. They reached the edge of the woods, the trees standing like silent sentinels, and the map suddenly felt alive in her hands. Loosely folded, it gave off the scent of lost moments, distant memories brushing against her fingertips. She traced the lines printed on it, feeling the pulse of ancient secrets underneath. Sarah and Emma joined them, their voices tinged with excitement and trepidation. "Where does it lead?" Sarah asked, taking a step toward the map, her eagerness palpable. "It's the old Finch Hollow," her father said grimly, as if the name itself was laced with shadows. "We used to go there, your mother and I. There's a story tied to it, one I thought was buried forever." "What kind of story?" Emma prodded, her gaze darting from Lily to her father, curiosity burning bright in her eyes. "This wasn't just a camping spot, it holds memories I'm not sure I want to relive. But for you, Lily, it might be key to understanding who your mother was." His voice cracked, and the vulnerability in his eyes struck Lily hard. "Then let us go," she said, her resolve hardening. Each step felt like a step closer to her mother. Each stride she took pushed away the fear, illuminating the path forward. They trekked slowly into the woods, the air thick with anticipation. Branches creaked and leaves whispered as the sun shrank behind the canopy, leaving shadows flickering like distant candles. What was she like? Lily found herself asking, her voice small, almost swallowed by the trees. Her father hesitated, memories flashing through his mind like film reel. She was fierce. Passionate about everything she believed in. Your mother had a way of bringing people together, showing them the beauty in everything, even the broken pieces. A sudden twig snapped underfoot, the sound ricocheting through the silence and catching the nerves of the group. Her heart raced. Did she ever act differently around Finch Hollow? Was there something she hid? He stopped, turning to her with deep-set eyes. "Lily, what you might find there could change everything. Are you ready for that?" She felt her breath catch in her throat. Would the map reveal the beauty of what they could have been, or would it expose fractures she could never fix? As they trudged deeper, the trees became thicker, the light more scarce, and the air colder. They were nearing their destination, the unknown laying before them like a blank page. "Just remember," her father said solemnly, "treasures can sometimes be burdens. Are you sure we should keep going?" "More than ever," Lily replied, her voice steady despite the chilling fear. The truth felt vital now. There was no going back. Just. Ahead, the shadows parted, revealing a clearing. But as they stepped inside, a strange sensation prickled the back of her neck, and in that moment, Lily realized something waited for them in the heart of the woods, something that would force her to confront the past in ways she never imagined. What would they uncover, and would it lead to healing or heartbreak? The clearing opened up like a hidden chapter in an old book, the sunlight streaming through the branches illuminating the spots where memories lingered. An old swing hung from a sturdy oak, swaying gently in the breeze as if it had waited decades for someone to return. Lily's heart pounded, the echoes of laughter long past dancing in her mind. Her father's expression darkened as he watched her with a mix of apprehension and nostalgia. "This was our spot," he murmured, almost to himself. "Your mother loved this place. We had picnics here, we dreamed of a future, one I thought we could build together." "Then let us uncover it," Lily whispered, gripping the map with determined fingers. "I want to know everything." As they moved deeper into the heart of Finch Hollow, the atmosphere shifted. Lily was unearthing not only the remnants of her mother's life, but shadows of her father's heartache. "What did you keep hidden?" she wondered aloud, each step stirring an echo of resilience within her. Emma and Sarah exchanged glances, their support silently weaving through the air. This was more than a search for memories, it was an acknowledgement of healing, a chance to mend frayed connections. Within the clearing, they stumbled upon a weathered wooden box half buried beneath leaves. It exuded an aura of forgotten stories, and Lily's pulse quickened. "Look!" she pointed, excitement bubbling up inside her. "Be careful," her father cautioned, though he couldn't conceal the flicker of hope igniting in his chest. Together, they kneeled and unearthed it, the box appearing almost alive, as if it had been waiting for this reunion for years. When they pried it open, a collection of letters, photographs, and trinkets spilled out, each item a glimpse into a life that had been intertwined with their own. Lily's breath hitched as she pulled out a yellowing photograph of her mother, radiant and carefree, standing beneath the same oak. "Look at her," she breathed, tracing the outline of her mother's young face. "She was beautiful," her father whispered, his voice trembling. "This is who she used to be before everything became so complicated." Emma looked closely at the trinkets. There were simple tokens of love, heart-shaped stones and a locket that held pictures of family members. It was tangible proof of a life once full of laughter. But as they sifted through the contents, the atmosphere grew heavier. Lily sensed her father's inner turmoil. "Dad, why did you stop coming here?" she asked gently, not wanting to push him, but feeling the tug of not knowing. He took a deep breath, sorrow flooding his eyes. "After your mother passed, I thought if I came back, it would hurt too much. I thought avoiding this pain would protect you. But I see now that I was wrong." For the first time, Lily saw the fissures in his bravado. He was just as lost as she felt. "We can't run from what we've lost," she urged. "We have to face it together." As if summoned by that statement, a figure emerged from the shadows, a woman, her hair swept back in a gentle bun, a warm smile creeping across her face. It was a neighbor from years past, one that had shared their history, a living touchstone of their memories. "I've been looking for you," she said, her voice soft like a blanket. "Finch Hollow has always been a place for healing. We could feel your absence." Lily's heart swelled. "Can you help us remember?" she asked, longing blossoming in her chest. "Of course," the woman said, stepping into the clearing as if she carried a piece of their lost time with her. "Let us open the doors of memory together." And so, as the afternoon sun dipped low, the clearing surrounded by trees became alive with collective stories, each voice adding to the tapestry of love, loss, and rebirth. They spent hours sharing laughter, sharing tears, and weaving connections that had long been dormant. It felt breathtakingly beautiful. It was messy and raw and real. There, in the heart of the woods, they realized that while they were mourning, they were also celebrating life, the life that had once been vibrant and pulsing with energy. The more they shared, the more shadows melted away, revealing glimmers of hope that had been hidden in the chaos. Each story told was a thread sewn into the fabric of their renewed relationship. When they finally left Finch Hollow, the weight on Lily's heart felt lighter. She looked at her father, his smile tentative but filled with promise. "Maybe we can come back," she suggested, "and bring more people more stories." He nodded, the connection between them palpable. "Yes, we can." As they stepped back into the light of the setting sun, Lily understood that healing was not a straight path. It would be riddled with pain and joy, but together they would navigate it. Every twist and turn would be a part of their story, not just hers. Hand in hand, they forged ahead unbeatable, united by the beauty of vulnerability and the strength found in love. This was just the beginning. This is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss our next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us reach more hearts looking for connection. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending because we want to hear from you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Join the journey now.